Hi everyone, I'm back. Sorry it's been a while. I've been really buried with schoolwork. But Jennifer Shahadi was super nice and she sent me a package with her new book, Play Like a Champion. And so I thought it would be really cool to do a chapter on like a walkthrough on how to read a chess book, right? And just go through the positions that are in the book. Like, here's a very nice picture of her in the back. She's so pretty. Yeah, and she also included a little postcard that says, like, from St. Louis. It says, "Can you teach them how to pin?" So hopefully I can. Yeah? Um, so let's take a look at the first position. You have already maybe chewed it apart a little bit, right? And the nice thing about her book is that she focuses a lot on women's games that are widely sort of in the shadows, right? Which is understandable. There are fewer women playing. You're gonna have fewer games commented on. So this is a maiden two from Nona Kamprindashvili, who is from Georgia, and she's the six-time women's world champion and the first female to receive a Grandmaster title. The six-time world champion was mentioned in the Queen's Gambit, Jennifer Shahadi notes, but the part about Nona claimed that the Georgian legend never played against men. Right, so that's wrong. She did play against men, sorry. Yeah, so Nona's style works against everyone, Jennifer Shahadi says. So let's take a look here. How would I piece this apart? So I would notice, first of all, that, okay, there's something to take, right? And I'd be like, I could keep an eye on the king that way. And also, I would probably take a look and just see what squares my pieces are covering, right? What are the threats, stuff like that. So, also you notice your rook is kind of under attack. So what if I just try to defend the rook and I'm like, oh, I'm keeping the attack, right? Well, there's a trick here. After queen takes g5, queen takes g5, king takes f7, you're just down a piece, right? So, not so good. So in this case, you can also write pause and unpause as you want. So in this case, we can see that maybe we could move the rook away, but then our bishop gets attacked. So the problem is that there are two pieces that are being attacked. Okay, there's this really nice move. If I wanted to get a check and right, I could maybe move the rook away and also make sure I can get this check, and it's rook f5. Okay, so what's the point of this move? You're saying like, oh, what if they take the pawn? Well, that's just a checkmate in two. Very nice. All right, and if the queen moves away, checkmate in one. All right, and you can see how all your pieces just kind of come into play, right? And if the pawn takes, that just exposes more squares. So, all right, really nice little puzzle. This next one's also Nona. She's playing in a mixed field event against white, Dennis Martle. So what about this position? So first of all, I would notice, right, the threats. Any threats? Doesn't seem like white really has any threats. Maybe a check here. That's it. But I would also notice that black can take this bishop. Okay, that's one thing to note, but we should look around the full rest of the position and see that this bishop is sort of covering squares. We have a lot of pieces by the king. We have bishops looking over here. We have knights hopping in. We have queen. So the first thing I would look at would be a check, right? The most forcing moves. And I noticed that the bishop is kind of keeping the king from moving. So you're like, what if I could just expose that king and give him a check? Right? Oh, well, there goes my knight. But not really. You can checkmate right here. This is called a Greco's mate. And you're going to see a lot more positions from the Georgian champion in this book and from Nona's World Championship successor, Maya Chiburdanidze, two-time women's U.S. champion, Natsi Pakidze. So Pakidze's first name means tender in Georgian, and it rhymes with Ozzy. Jennifer Shahadi makes that clear, right? First name is Nazi, so you can understand. How about this one? So first thing to notice, right, if you do a lot of checkmate patterns, this one will be easy for you. But maybe someone who's doing check first, right, might take a look and see this move. It's like a checkmate in like 5 or something. It just takes forever. because it just leads to the same move, basically. So why not just do it quickly? I've noticed that this rook, right, we were talking about how pieces are covering squares. So you're saying, like, my queen could go here if I could just lure the king into this familiar checkmate, right? And this is Nazi playing against Maria Mizuchuk. Nino takes advantage of a pin to mate in 2 in the commentary. Alright, how about this one? Well, you notice first of all, okay, what pieces are my squares covering? Sorry, what squares are my pieces covering? Right, so in this case, notice the bishop is pinned. And because pinned pieces can't protect, the queen can't be taken because the bishop is pinned. So you can calmly take here, no problems, checkmate, right? Okay, one more here. So while most mates, right, as in the name, begin with a checkmate, some begin with quieter moves. So this is Mehdi Arabidze, 2023 European Women's Champion, and she found a lethal 1 move to force mate. So the first thing that we would notice, right, is like what squares are our pieces covering? Man, that's a lot of squares our pieces are covering, right? They're a lot concentrated by the king. But if we try our usual forcing checkmate, that doesn't really work. It just gets taken. So, and I can't reach this square, right? And I notice that this knight is cutting off the king. So what I really want to do is I want to find a way to give check. Because if the king can't move, sometimes I'm like, how could I just put a piece there to give check? Oh, and you notice, right, the bishop is making it hard for that king to move. So the queen can just waltz into g3 and say, well, I'm just going to give you mate over here anyway. So Shahadi in her book refers to this move as zap. When you have a word for something, it's just easier to perceive and detect, she says in her book. So, right, in my head, for me, I use the word threats, right? So go forth and mate in 2, guys. And I'll be doing more books on this, more videos on this in the future, hopefully, as well as just keep up to date on the chess wrestling. We're going to have a few things coming up soon, hopefully. Thank you.